Hello, good night, good evening, or good morning. I'm Livia, and today I'm going to share with you some ideas to answer the following question. What are some of the challenges of developing a global mindset for individuals, and what three specific tips that I would share with you to develop a more open and global mindset? So, first of all, I would like to share some talents involving two aspects that I most find interesting. Okay, so the first one is a world view. And the own world actually explains to us, right? It's the how we view the world. So it's the way that I interpretate the reality, basically, and that are a lot of factors that are going to influence this. Okay, so how my parents raised me, the education that I had, if I learned to follow some religion, where I lived, the environment, and all the experiences that I had so far. So in the first moment, it's totally natural, like to the first reaction dealing with the new is not to accept it because somehow the different people from you are breaking the pattern that you learned to behave since you are raised, right? So I believe that one of the biggest challenges we face is not be willing to understand that people have distinct backgrounds and perceptions than ours. The second one, sorry, is the cultural values. So as we are raised in a society in groups, during our whole life, we learn in how to behave and what to believe, and from that, we embrace. In our lives, cultural values, and these cultural values actually are the principles that guide us for the whole life. And one of the biggest challenges is understanding that our values are not better than others. And for example, I have to be more empathetic enough to admit it. And I'd like to share three tips with you based in my experience here in an exchange in Mexico. Okay, so the first one is know yourself. So, in the first moment that I arrived here in Mexico, I was afraid of the unknown. Totally afraid. So imagine that you are exposing yourself to an environment totally different for you. So you look around, you cannot see any family members, you cannot see any neighbors, any friends, and you cannot find anything common to your eyes. So you become more anxious and insecure. So in somehow this is a threatening situation, right? Because you've never gone through this. So that's how I felt in the first moment that I arrived here in Mexico, not just because of the unknown aspect, but actually I had to deal with all my bias, all my assumptions and the Mexican stereotypes. And this was scary in the first moment. But as I understand what I was feeling, I could better develop some strategies to improve these aspects. The second one is learn new language. So in the beginning, I did not feel part of the groups here, of the group of students, of my family, because I didn't understand what they are talking about. So although Portuguese and Spanish are very similar, they have like the Mexican people have a lot of local expressions and slangs, and besides that they speak very fast. So I was like in shock. And I noticed immediately that I have to learn their language, their behaviors, their habits, to first become one of them, to start having the feeling of being part of the groups around me, which is pretty much important for our brain actually, because our brain is social. So it's a primary need, socialize, have some conversations, be in touch with people. So as we learned with some guests we had here in class that studied in China, we need to learn to blend in, to fit in the place we are in, And we can do this by learning the language of the people here, the local language, because from this we can improve our communication to better understand others and to better express ourselves. And the third tip and the last one is be curious, flexible, and open minded. So, the third moment I've gone through, actually, I am still in this moment, is that as I became more involved with the culture, I started to become more acquainted to the habits of my UNLA friends, of my family that I'm living with, and as I was dealing with totally different aspects for me, I started asking myself, like, why? And asking them, like, why do you guys do this? And why do you behave like this? Why do you speak like this? And think like this? And believe in what you believe? So I started to be more open minded and let my ego a little bit aside and trying to understand their roots. So, as I said, this is the moment that I am still going through. So, what I've been trying to do is to be more curious and understanding how and why Mexican people live. And of course, this is not easy. So, I am also trying to be more flexible and embrace all these new perspectives and ways to see the world. So, this is my third tip to you and the last one. And I really appreciate your attention. Hope this presentation can help you somehow to develop your global mindset. Thank you so much.